We have John Carlson, the owner and manager of Homefront Farmers. And believe it or not, we're talking about vegetable gardens. There have been and there are innovations in having your own vegetables grown right on your property. So John has some wonderful photos and advice for all of us today. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Jenna. Yes, I will be the first to admit that vegetable gardens themselves are not an innovation in outdoor living, but we have brought a few innovations to the business. Specifically, and we can go to the next slide, there are really three things. I would say, first of all, that we provide a service for people, a professional service. 10 years ago, when you'd go online, you'd find 1,000 websites that would tell you why you should grow your own food and even how to do it or what you should grow. But there was really no one saying, we will help you to do that. So we provided a service, and I would say the second innovation is that we've really brought a professionalism to the area, to the field. And finally, that we are very much specialized. I joke with clients sometimes that if you can't eat it, I don't know how to grow it. But it's really about edible landscaping and, of course, the pollinators and things that are required to bring in the right insects. So I think if we move to the next slide, what is it about vegetable gardens that people are interested in these days? I think it's a lot like the resurgence of baking sourdough bread, and that people really want a back to basics, sort of some primal satisfaction. I would say the most important reason people want vegetable gardens is obviously the food is much better. If you look at this, it's not the kind of thing you find in a store. Something just picked from your garden is absolutely going to be better tasting. You know where it comes from. You know there are no harmful sprays, anything like that on it. But I would say even more than the food itself is the experience. What we find is that so many people are really looking for something that is literally down to earth. They will say that they want to get their children involved, or they want to learn how to do themselves, and we can really tailor the experience to whatever it is, whatever level of involvement they would like to have. We can move to the next slide. Speaking of tailoring, each garden starts with a tailored design. So each client can say, here's what I want to grow, here's what I want to eat. And we will then take all that input, and again, professionalism, we put it into a plan that says specifically where, not just where everything goes, but grouping things by families so that crops can be rotated, making sure that common errors aren't made, like tall items shading the shorter items. Integrating the right flowers to attract beneficial insects, companion planting, and so on. And by doing all those things, we can also make sure that the garden is productive and beautiful for the whole season, from April 1st through the end of November. And one thing I should probably have said before is that the gardens themselves are beautiful architectural structures, raised beds, and they sort of give the lie to the old saying that, well, I would love a garden, but gardens are ugly. We really have worked hard to make sure that they're an enhancement to any landscape. We can move to the next slide. Um, as I said, we've tried very hard to create a professional service here, and our employees are really not just trained to be very good at maintaining the garden, but also at maintaining the relationship with the client. As I said, it's a lot about the experience, and some people want to be very involved in the garden, or some people just want that harvest basket on their door once a week. What we can do is tailor our service to the specific interests and needs of each client, and if essentially be ambassadors for this movement. Okay, last slide. What we've found is that I guess gardens are kind of the gateway drug into other back to basics activities, what we would call homesteading activities. And if you look from the upper left, this is my 12-year-old learning what goes on inside a beehive. So we can offer beekeeping to all our clients. The next slide, or the next picture, is a beautiful batch of shiitake mushrooms growing on logs that we inoculated at our farm. Something else people probably don't know that they can grow at home. Eva mentioned early on the interest in pollinators and incorporating wildflower gardens into landscapes. That's another thing that we've seen a huge surge in interest in. If you look at the big picture, berries, in this case strawberries, are always very popular. The problem is they're also very popular with squirrels and chipmunks. So we've figured out ways to protect them so that you can enjoy them rather than sharing them with all the wildlife. And then finally, something that's happening right now actually is tapping maple trees. I think a lot of people don't know that the maple trees in their yard will produce maple syrup every bit as delicious as that produced in Vermont. So we tap their trees, we bring their sap back, we do the hard work of boiling it, and then we give them back the syrup from their own sap with their own custom label. So, I guess the bottom line here, the main message is that this is all stuff that we just think is tremendously fun and rewarding, and we really want to spread it to the world by making a service that's professional, as accessible to everyone as possible.